Okay, 10:45, time for the next class. This one is our Navigating Learn.UQ. This particular session that we're having a look at is all about a system here at the University of Queensland that we use for our electronic courseware distribution. So we're going to have a look at what our Learn.UQ system is, how to access it, and then various different parts of a course, which will include things like announcements, course profiles, staff and help, learning resources, assessment, and discussion boards. So it's an Learn.UQ or Blackboard. Now, what's really important here are the two bottom options, or the three bottom options. Blackboard is the software. Learn.UQ is the name that we have given it. So if you hear someone talking about Learn.UQ, if you hear someone talking about Blackboard, they're talking about the same system. So the names can be used interchangeably. It's always talking about coming to this website, learn.uq.edu.au. Can be accessed either directly by typing in that website address or by going through My UQ. And when you're in My UQ, you've got the menu on the left-hand side, and at the bottom, near the bottom anyway, will be an option for Learn.UQ. This system is used by many courses. I say many because not all. Many courses around UQ. And it allows you to access your course materials and to submit assessment pieces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through some screenshots, but then I'm also going to load up a live version and talk to you about it at the same time. So courses, when you log into Learn.UQ, this is what you actually look at. And you've got a menu down the left-hand side, which talks about institution, who you are, an activity in all the courses that you've been doing. And then there's a courses option. This is the default page that you'll come to, and it will list those courses that you have access to. Now, if you log in today and those courses are saying that they're private, that means that they haven't yet actually been turned on. So you can't get access to them. And that's up to the actual course coordinators to set access dates for them. Now, they're supposed to all be active by the time semester starts in, what's that, about 10 days time or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. So you might see they start to become available next week if you're looking at any at the moment that do currently say that they're private. You will also see any training courses that you're enrolled in and any upcoming courses as well. Now, where's my mouse? There it is. This is what it looks like. Now, I am using, excuse me, I'm using Edge here this morning because I've noticed that this morning, for reasons I don't know, because it's our Learn.UQ team that will need to look into it, Firefox, which is usually my browser of choice, was not displaying these courses correctly. So one way around that is to try, if you ever do encounter a problem, try a different browser, first of all. So in this case, I tried Edge and it's displaying correctly in Edge. So that's why I'm using Edge here today. You can also try, what's the word I'm looking for? Like private browsers. So you can launch in Firefox an incognito tab, which is one where it resets all the cookies and everything else in your system, and gives you like a fresh screen, and that should hopefully work as well. So This is a, is that the Firefox? Yep, so that's my Firefox private browsing page. And I can see I've got announcements there. Got a close option at the top here. And I can see that's still not working. So even though I'm clicking that, it's popping up. And that's not closing. So that's the issue I'm having with Firefox this morning, which is why I'm actually using Edge. Because I have tested this on a couple of courses and it does close properly. Now, if you do get some training courses appearing, don't panic about having to do all the training courses. It's sometimes easier for the teams in the background to simply give blanket access to everyone to see the courses rather than to make very specific access lists for people based on what they're studying. If you're told to complete an aspect of one of these training courses, then you'll be able to find the training course and you will have access to be able to complete it. So don't worry about doing finance training if you aren't doing a finance related course. And even if you are doing a finance related course, if you haven't been told to complete finance training module number 7, well, then you don't need to worry about coming into the finance training course. I hope that makes sense. So you might see a lot of courses listed, but you don't necessarily have to complete them. What you'll see in your courses will be any that you have marked as a favorite just by clicking on the little star. So this is not a favorited course. This one is a favorited course. You'll see any courses that you're actually enrolled in or have been enrolled in previously. In the menus, the navigator down the left-hand side, the institution page will take us to the University of Queensland. It will give us links to anything that the university wants us to have a look at. So spotlights, other useful links that are available, your academic integrity modules that you will need to complete by various dates to make sure that you can continue your enrollments. We've got Learn.UQ, we've got e-portfolios if you need to do e-portfolios. I'm coming back to this in a second. E-learning service statuses, course sites, etc. Now here, everyone, if you're on your institution page, we should be looking at Ask Us Blackboard Student Training. And what I'd like you to do is to click on that link for me. And the reason why I want you to click on this link is I'd like you to enroll in Ask Us Blackboard Student Training. And the reason why we do that is because that way when we're running this class, everyone will be looking at the same thing. See, the thing about Blackboard classes, Blackboard courses, is that every lecturer, every course coordinator can, aside from a few core components, can set their courses up any way they want. So because of that, if we have a look at our Blackboard student training, then we'll all be looking at the same thing. Now, when we click submit to enroll, we'll get the self-enrollment page, which will tell us that was a success. And then you can choose OK to confirm your enrollment. And that will take us to this page here. There are two types of Blackboard course at the moment. There is a classic course, and that's what we're looking at here at the moment. And then there's a new one called Ultra. Now, Ultra, if I just close down mine for a second, and I come back to my courses. An Ultra course, Just so you know, you should be able to see Blackboard student training in your training courses at this point. An ultra course has a very different look. It doesn't have menus down the left-hand side. It has a series of tabs up the top. So ultra courses have a different layout. The same information exists, but it's in a very different spot. So there's only a very few, there's 100 or so of these ultra courses being rolled out this semester. Provided there's no major issues with those 100-odd classes, then semester 2 of this year, pretty much every class is going to be rolled over into the ultra layout. So you're going to about halfway through this year, get some pretty big changes to the way Blackboard looks. At this point in time, though, I would like us to click on Blackboard Student Training if we need to. So mine has opened up now. Previously, it was a separate tab, but mine has now opened up as a floating window with the navigator over the top of my global menu. We're looking at the announcement. The announcement will be one of the first things that you'll see in most classes, which will simply be a welcome to the screen, a welcome to the course, and information generally on who your contacts will be for your class. Those contacts should be mirrored in the course staff page, which would, in this case, tell us that we're talking about the technology trainers and the library Ask Us team. Your announcements page, you can expect that to grow across the time that your course is active for, as your lecturers will give you updates on information that's going on. There might be emergency updates if there was a flood in a room and you needed to change rooms. That has happened in the past. So do keep an eye on your announcements pages. The lecturers will post there fairly regularly. Course profiles. Now, course profiles are great for information about your courses. We don't have one for our practice course, but these are a couple of semester 2 course profiles. So this is Introduction to Management. If I click that, that takes me to the information about the course. Now, in the course, requirements, contact, staff, timetables, aims and outcomes, assessments, and learning resources. Being able to see what kind of assessments that you'll have can be really useful. So what have we got here? A team-based tutorial assessment. It's worth 15% of your marks. A management issue report will be 40%, and then a final exam worth 45%. Lots of information about the different options, including late submission penalties. Saying if you're more than 7 days late, you're going to get a 0. This is for the team task description. Management issue, again, basically penalties for up to 7 days, and then you're getting a 0. And then final exam. With information about that. So that can be useful to see. Now, what's really super important though, and these are about your course gradings, what you might get. I have seen some courses where they say your final exam is worth 40%, or maybe it's worth 50%. But what the lecturers say is that in order to pass the class, you must take the final exam. You must get more than 50% in the final exam to pass the class. So it doesn't matter if you've got 60% out of 100 in all the other classes, all the other bits of the class. You take the final exam. If you score 45% in that exam, you don't pass the course because you did not score 50% or more in the final exam. Do make sure that you have a look and make sure that you understand any requirements for your grades and your assessments as to how you're going to be doing in your classes. So do have a look at your course profiles if you haven't already. There's a lot of good information in there about your classes and what you'll be expected of you. Course stuff we've already talked about in course help. Let me come back to my PowerPoint. Okay, so these are all the different pages available in the menu. Enrolled courses, organizations, calendar. Now, look, the calendar, view all course deadlines, that's up to the lecturer to populate. So you'll only be able to judge that when you're looking in your courses. Marks are also about course grades, as well as any other tools they have available. We've already done the enrollment part, talked about the different courses, announcements, course profiles. All right, course staff and course help. Course staff will be contact details for your course coordinators and your tutors and other staff as necessary, so that if you're having issues, you can contact them. Course help will be things like support resources and general links. Specific content related support is often located under learning resources. Content related support. If I return to my Edge, and here I'll see course staff, ask us and library training, course help, information about training at UQ, as well as if you'd like specialized support, our email address, training@library.uq.edu.au. Coming back to PowerPoint. All right, discussion boards. Discussion boards are used by many courses. Sometimes they're used for gathering your thoughts about particular topics by the lecturers. Sometimes discussion board participation is marked. Sometimes they are heavily monitored, sometimes not so. When it comes to using discussion boards, though, please do remember that in 99% of those that I've seen inside classes, the students are not able to delete once they've posted something. So do make sure that you want to post what it is, what you are posting when making your post, because 99% of the time, as I said, once you actually put it out there, it's not coming back. So just keep that in mind when you're working in discussion boards. We say this part here about ed discussion boards. These are separate from the ones that we're about to have a look through, and there will be a distinct link generally to those. And as it says here, this tool, so the ed discussion boards, are separate to UQ's online one. So this is a discussion. It says introduce yourself to everyone. Okay. That's an ed discussion. Let me come back to learning resources. Your learning resources, how they're organized, will depend on the lecturer. Some are organized very, very well, others not so well. Your learning resources will contain all of that information which is necessary for your learning throughout the class that you're taking. So in this case, we've got information about getting started at the library, information about the learning resources, link to general resources, external resources, little icons giving you an indication of the information that is there and available. If I click learning resources link, not giving me anything. Try that one. All right, so general resources, giving me the student code of contact and a St. Lucia parking map 2024. External resources. Okay, it's taken me to a web page about accessing Learn.UQ. So it could take you out there. It might not be a downloadable one. Notice the external, it does have a little link on it. Anything that's a downloadable file will be a piece of paper that has a little curve in there, and there'll be a link plus the size of the link that you're clicking. So in this case, not a lot at all. Statistical review grading criteria. So some grading criteria from an actual class from 2022. If you wanted to get a mark of 1 on this one, you needed for your brief overview of the study, a clear overview of the study with appropriate level of detail. See, this was pretty harsh marking. You either scored a 1, a half, or a 0. In this case, we've got a link to Echo 360 lecture theatre recording. Most lecture theatres will have the ability to record lectures. Only those that seat 100 or more, though, so if you've got more than 100 seats in a lecture theatre, then that is going to be recorded automatically. If you're uncertain about whether or not you are getting a recording made, don't hesitate to ask. You know, sometimes the lecturers need to be reminded that they haven't turned things on. You should also end up with links, once again, to the academic integrity modules, which I mentioned briefly. You should have all had plenty of information given to you about them. Basically, extra modules that you will need to complete to make sure that you comply with the integrity sessions. Um, Gonna have to have a look and see where our discussion board's gone. All right. The academic integrity modules, there's some dates for you. Have to complete Part A by the 31st of March and complete Part B before the 30th of May. Future enrollment, viewing your grades and graduation are blocked by missing these deadlines. So if you're in this first semester of your course, you must make sure you complete it by the 31st of March, so that you can continue to enroll in your studies as you need to. Respect.UQ module, there is one module to complete for that, which you must complete before the 16th of March. And again, missing the deadline will restrict your access to Blackboard until completed. And then it looks like there's a that's the actual respect access module. Cool. So as I mentioned earlier, course content is found under learning resources. So lecture recordings, readings, links to external resources, and any other materials that's necessary. Other materials as necessary. You may get some classes that are chock-a-block full of information and others where it's almost a virtual desert. The more information that's in a class, the better informed you can be. In the assessment link, you're going to find information about your assessments. So like we saw in the actual course profiles, we'll have assessment summaries, files related to your assessments, submission links, embedded assessments, which might be multiple choice and short answer quizzes. We'll have a look at assessment. So common assessment tools. Common assessment tools include a Blackboard assignment submission. So basically you can submit through Blackboard. It's a way of lecturers keeping their classes information separate and contained. You'll generally need to download something and then upload something. If you do have to submit through Blackboard, we have a link to click. And in this case, it's telling me it was due 6 months ago and that I had 20 possible points. Two option here, create submission, upload files. The create submission option allows you to literally type it in here in Blackboard. Now, when it comes to doing this, this is pretty rare actually that lecturers want you to type your submission directly into Blackboard. But just so you know, this is a graphical user interface that is common across all courses. 3 dots at the end will allow you to see lots of other choices. Clicking the 3 dots collapses those other choices. Now, when you are creating a submission, down here in the bottom right-hand corner, you have cancel, save draft, and submit. Canceling gets rid of everything you've done, throws it away. There's no recovering it. Saving a draft allows you to be typing lots and lots and lots of information. Save it as a draft because you want to check something, and then come back in and finish that off later. Submitting it will actually submit the assignment. If you submit an assignment before you mean to, it will be up to the lecturer to determine whether or not you can have it back to make a correction, so long as the due time has not passed. There's no guarantees. Sometimes they simply say, no, you submitted, that's all there is to it. Other times they'll let you submit multiple times. Now, if you choose to upload a file, then that's like doing an attachment. Local files, course files, if you've got something stored on the course, or a cloud service, you could actually grab your files off a cloud service, providing this system will allow you to. If I browse my local files, there I will see lots of different files, and maybe I decide to post my coding summary by code. And there it is there. It pops up, tells me the file name. The link title, coding summary by code, I could say, that is completely wrong. It's not a sheep, it's a coding summary, but I could type that in as the link title if I wanted to. I've got a little breadcrumb trail at the top. Common assessment tools, assessment. If you get asked to do a submission via Turnitin, your course coordinator will let you know. Now, Turnitin does have the ability to check your assignment for originality. If the course coordinator is allowing you to see the originality reports, they will generally be made available generally anywhere from 12 to 24 hours after you submit. Your originality score will be graded from 0 to 100, 0 being really good, 100 being really bad. So the lower your originality score, the better. Most people that have problems with originality are simply not declaring their quotes correctly. Excuse me while I have a drink of water. Using Turnitin is very easy. There's a quick little video here. It's 90 seconds long. You might not be able to hear it, and that's okay if you can't. But it basically runs through all of this submission information here. Actually, I said it was a video, but I'm not seeing the video anymore. So they might have changed that. And now it's just a written series of instructions of how you submit your file and then the file types. The group assignments, a nominated member of your team will be responsible for the team submission. Similarity reports, understanding percentages. Turn it in works by matching phrases within your work and source material. Often it's phrases and sentences that are a match rather than a percentage. I talked to a couple of lecturers when it comes to these percentages. Those people that submit first in a class tend to get a lower percentage than those submit last because your work's being compared to everyone else's and they're all doing the same thing. Yeah, is generally the way these things work. Options for how to help you out if you do get a high percentage of originality score. Completing your assessments. They'll be somewhere for you to download that assessment from. Then you complete it as instructed, and then you submit your file again, upload it through Blackboard. As I mentioned earlier, Blackboard is transitioning to Blackboard Ultra. It's a new version of Blackboard, and you'll start to encounter that pretty much from the middle of this year and onwards. Other activities that you can do for assessment do include quizzes. Now, quizzes can be set in two ways. They can be weekly quizzes that your lecturers are just testing knowledge on, or they could be weekly quizzes that they're actually assessing you on. Or you might actually complete your final exam as a quiz. Now, in relation to that, I do have in my Blackboard course practice quiz riddles. Now, anytime you click on a quiz, make sure you read the instructions because it will tell you what you can and cannot do. This one can be saved and resumed later. It does allow multiple attempts. But if you are doing an assessed quiz, then there's a really good chance that you're not going to be allowed to do multiple attempts. I do have a begin option. And we'll see in this particular quiz, we have a mixture of multiple choice, short answer, very short answer, a little bit multiple choice, a fill in the blank question, and again, short answers as well. So question one, it's a riddle. A box without hinges, key or lid, yet golden treasure inside is hid. So there's no hinges, no keys, no lid, yet golden treasure inside is hid. Well, an egg certainly got golden treasure, and so on. Fill in the blank. Now you notice over here it says saved. I didn't click that. That's saved automatically. It tends to save fairly quickly. Do keep an eye on it. If you're noticing that after like 4 or 5 questions, it isn't actually saving, make sure you're still connected to the internet. Or if necessary, click those save icons, because you do want this information saved in case you do an accidental early submission or something like that. Write friend and enter. Friend. And then pressing enter will save the answer. What gets wetter the more it dries? Well, that's a towel. Well, this one here, question 4, it's not a riddle. Australia is wider than the moon. True or false? Australia is wider than the moon. Is true. If you would bring down a slice through the middle of the moon and plonk it on Australia, you'd still be able to see Perth and Brisbane. I'm an odd number. Take away a letter and I become even. What am I? Now, in this case, I'm going to type the number 7 and then I'll save my answer. If I type 7, up the top here, a valid numeric value is required. Answer will still save, but will be marked as incorrect. So in this case, we're finding out that this short answer question has actually been set so that it will get the physical number 7 will appear. What's going on here? To backspace that. It's not doing anything. Oh, I'm going to have to choose OK. Haha. Backspace that. There we go. So it actually wants a 7. Do I have any riddles I'd like to share? Nope. Can save all my answers. Make sure these are all saved. There we go. I can now save and submit. Test submission confirmation, lots of checking that you really want to do it. Make sure you read these little dialog boxes. It's basically saying, hey, we've done that. Are you sure you want to submit? Test submitted. And here are the quiz results. You're not always going to get an option of seeing your quiz results immediately. Just depends on what the lecturer wants to do. Choose OK down at the bottom. Okay. All of our classes are talking about generative AI at the moment. We have information and resources for students. We have the AI Student Hub. Lots and lots of good information there about what you can and cannot do when using AI around the university. Small point here at the bottom though, it says students can use any AI they like. The AI Student Hub includes guidance on responsible use and expectations for academic integrity. Once again, scan and win. One of 6 chances at a $50 e-gift card voucher. All right. Don't forget to contact us, UQ Library Training and Technology, Library Technology Training.